शतस्रजाम् चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो म आवह ताम आवह जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं विन्देयं गामश्वं पुरुषानहम् अश्वपूर्वां रथमध्यां हस्तिनादप्रबोधिनीं श्रियं देवीमुपह्वये श्रीर्मा देवी जुषतां कां सोऽस्मितां हिरण्यप्राकारां आर्द्रां ज्वलन्तीं तृप्तां तर्पयन्तीं पद्मे स्थितां पद्मवर्णां तामिहोपह्वये श्रियम् चन्द्रां प्रभासां यशसा ज्वलन्तीं श्रियं लोके देवजुष्टामुदारां तां पद्मिनीमीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये अलक्ष्मीर्मे नश्यताम्.
A few years ago, after we had the Orion transmissions, which if you've read the latest book, were these electronic signals that came out of the Orion and Sirius sector of space, I was holding a sphere, a crystal sphere up, and all the electronics, the radar detectors, magnetometers, all started doing a series of communications for about 23 minutes, which we recorded. And I realized shortly after that, on another trip out there, that the civilizations from that sector of space have been involved with Earth since life on Earth began. And there was something called the Eye of Orion. It used to be, in Egypt, it was the Eye of Horus, H-O-U-R-S, and the all-seeing eye. And it actually is a form. I want to describe it to you because this is a very advanced technique. We don't have time to go through all these. But if you were with me for a whole week, you'd master this. But in 3 or 4 hours, we'll do what we can do. But visualize, you know the old TV picture tubes that had like a slightly curved front, and the tubes came back like this to a rounded back? Just like the human eyeball. Actually, if you take, the eyeball is not round. It actually is a little bit curved on the front, but flat, and then it curves back like this, not to a point, but to sort of a rounded. This crystalline object actually came out from underneath Joshua Tree. And it was crystal clear, translucent, and came into the house where we were, and it was sent from this sector of space. And I was told that if you go within this, you can put your consciousness within this eye, and then it magnifies your remote viewing ability and your intention to create something exponentially. Very powerful technique. And you can actually put this Eye of Orion within the Merkaba and travel and then see through it. I don't know, your powers of visualization had to kind of, go with this for a moment. So see yourself in this Merkaba looking and gazing out through the Eye of Orion, and then intending to create change in your life, world peace, contact with these civilizations. Very powerful. These are structures and forms within consciousness. When this object came to our house, it was actually going from window to window, wanting someone to acknowledge it. Very strange experience. And so I acknowledged it. It was in the wee hours of the morning. And it was quite clear to me that the sort of re-understanding some of the mythology, things that have become mythological, are actually technological conscious structures within the geometry of awareness. And so the Eye of Orion became a technique for really magnifying intent and also seeing with great clarity. But you have to center your awareness in it and expand, and you can expand the Eye of Orion with the Merkaba. The Merkaba is an energy field in consciousness, in the sacred geometry of how consciousness becomes matter. So I want to explain for just a moment what that is. Now this has all kinds of applications: healing, remote viewing, precognition, and effecting change. And this is actually what we do all the time to get to where we have in this project. And so visualize, if you will, civilizations that have mastered the tonality that precedes form, that precedes matter. I want to take you a little bit into what I call extraterrestrial manufacturing systems. And it's technological, and it's also conscious. Again, it's consciousness technologies blended together. Those of you who've had an experience close up with an ET vehicle, you will feel that the craft itself is awake. How do you know the difference between an extraterrestrial vehicle and one that looks like an anti-gravity? It's made by Lockheed Martin out here, or Northrop. The ones that are man-made are metallic junk. Cool junk, but it's junk. The extraterrestrial systems have the consciousness of the occupants imbued in all aspects of the craft and their communication systems. They are conscious bio-nanotechnologies. Let me repeat that. They are conscious and they are bio-nanotechnology, meaning they're living. Talk to the men who are actually involved with things all the way back to Roswell. That craft, the one that didn't get blown to smithereens, and I know other people who've come across this, such as one of our witnesses who was on the Peruvian-Bolivian border, when we hit an ET craft with a space weapon and it crashed. When they got there, it was this object. It was in this dimension, but it was actually kind of living, and it was oozing what looked like, not blood, but this fluid. And the craft itself, and the one that was in Roswell, when they got there, have you ever seen a time lapse of a wound healing? The damaged area of the craft was going because it was actually living. But it's also conscious. Now, it's not conscious independent of the occupants, but it is, in a sense, an amplification, and it has the consciousness. This is why when you have a close encounter with one of these objects, it's not just a technological, it's you can feel the awareness of the occupants. And the reason for that is that when an extraterrestrial civilization becomes interstellar, they have to master the structure of the universe. And the first and fundamental structure is awareness, consciousness, cosmic mind.
Graham ankommer nu til Aalborg Lufthavn. Jeg har kun fortalt ham, at Hanne føler, at der stadigvæk ikke er ro i huset, men at det ikke er så slemt, som det var før. Jeg fortæller ham imidlertid ikke noget konkret om, hvad Hanne og Søren har oplevet i den mellemliggende tid. These phenomena have not gone away completely. What is the explanation for this?
Right, well, obviously we won't know the extent of the change until we get back there. But what can happen sometimes is that when there's such a strong negative energy, then it's a little bit like an onion. You have the different layers of the onion, and what can happen is that you take away the one layer and you find another layer. And that may be what we're finding here, and we'll be able to know more about that when we get there. Because the energy was certainly very, very strongly negative. It was really bad. I felt it long before we went into the house.
Compared to all the other places you've been to and seen, how bad is this place we're going out to?
Right, well, it's the first one where I felt such a strong push away from the energy. A definite impression of don't come in, keep out. And it did make me nervous. And although I felt uncomfortable in other places, that nervousness is not normal. And it was very severe, and the thing that worried me most is when I picked up the strength of effect that it would be having on the animals. And that really sort of was very, very strong. Because in effect, what I sensed from the spirit was that the spirit knew that the way to make the biggest effect was to damage the animals. So that's what it was doing. So the effect on the animals was much greater than it was on the people. And that's sort of, okay, the spirits are quite clever. The uncaring ones are just as clever, so they know where to hit you most.
Klokken er nu 2 om eftermiddagen, og Graham ankommer til huset, men som sagt uden at vide noget som helst om, hvad Hanne og Søren har oplevet i den mellemliggende tid.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, nice to see you again, but it would be better if it was under different circumstances.
Yes, but still. Hello, Graham.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Graham. How are you?
Right, well, I'm just going to wander around again and see what I find this time.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'd like to talk to you if I find I need to. I mean, basically, I'm going to wander around, see what happens, and I may want to talk to you about it, and we'll do that as we go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so we'll just
Feel
wander
free,
around.
walk around.
Okay. Okay, well, one of the things that the Spirit have suggested is they've actually given me in my head a picture of a symbol which I've drawn onto a piece of paper. And they say that if it's all right with you for that symbol to be either painted or chalked or something on the floor at that spot, because that will ensure that the energy can't return.
Okay.
And it's a fairly simple drawing. It's not anything complicated. I mean, I've got it in my pocket. And there are a few words on it which I haven't got a clue what they mean.
Vi har forsøgt at finde diagrammet i forskellige bøger, men har ikke umiddelbart kunne finde det hverken som et kristent, satanisk eller andet velkendt okkult symbol. Ordene har vi også undersøgt, og så vidt vi kan finde ud af, betyder de tilsyneladende følgende. Dium er latin og betyder der, hvor dagen og lyset hersker. Atius betyder der, hvor mørket og det uheldsvangre regerer. Og equium knytter sig tilsyneladende til ordet hest og kunne betyde rytter, eventuelt i den konkrete betydning en romersk ryttersoldat.
I don't suppose you have any method of finding out which way is north?
North is that way.
Right, then do it. Yeah. It's all right. They just said to me it would be best if you could take the point to north.
Den er ikke så nem at lave, alligevel sådan lige.
Efter at Hanne har tegnet symbolet på staldgulvet, går Graham nu rundt og tjekker virkningen. Og han hævder, at den destruktive energistrøm nu er lukket, og at de forstyrrende steder er ved at opløse sig selv. Han er sikker på, at problemet nu er løst.
So whatever that's doing, it's working.
Ja.